If you're an artist, you've probably felt like this. Social media can feel like a distraction, a numbers game, peacocking, or just plain exhausting. Even if you've tried to give it a go, you might feel confused by trying to figure out what a working strategy is. Or worse, just try and play into what the algorithm wants and lose sight of your authentic self. I used to resist it myself, and honestly, I've lost a lot of time by not putting myself out there. But I found a way to use social media that actually aligns with who I am and allowed me to just be me. It even got me a job. So I want to talk about the whole social media thing and share a few things that I've learned along the way. And if you are wondering why is this looking a little bit like a nature doco, I've gone home for a month back to Australia. So I want to share with you a couple of shots of the beautiful country I come from. A number of years ago, I was quite resistant to using social media, just because I felt like it didn't work with who I was. Mind you, this is when social media was really just kicking off. I think I posted some things. It felt like quite new and strange. I'm more of like a hermit studio kind of guy. Like I love being in that environment, making music, collaborating, DJing, that kind of thing. So putting myself out there wasn't something that I was very good at in general. It sort of felt like it was a distraction from actually doing music, and I didn't want to get distracted by social media, so I just focused on continuing to write music. I realize now that not being on social media has affected my growth, just because that's time lost that I haven't spent trying to promote my music. Had someone told me that social media will be a big part of the game back then I probably would have paid a lot more attention to it, because it is a part of the game. I think that if you want to be an artist in this world, you have to be on social media for a number of reasons. One, because you're putting your work out there and it's a way of self-promotion. You know, it's an easy way to get people looking at your stuff and seeing your profile. I think as well, as an artist, you know, if you want to be represented by a booking agency or anything like that, then they are going to want you to have a good social media profile. It's something for them to work with. As well as if you want to get booked by clubs or festivals, you know, they want to use your network as a form of promotion for their event. And I think that's in your best interest as well to, you know, promote the shows that you're at, but it also works both ways. So I think it is important to keep those considerations in mind. As I said, it is a part of the game. So if you want to play the game, you just have to take part. When I came to London, I knew that I needed to take part in the social media game. Before that, I had been sort of semi-active in a way with no real strategy. But when it came to it, I needed an idea that allowed me to be me, that allowed me to be comfortable with being on social media, and that allowed me to be consistently posting to promote my stuff. And that's when I came up with this idea of doing 100 beats in 100 days. The idea for posting 100 beats in 100 days came about quite quickly. So I was hanging out with Mozai and Vinicius Honorio, and Vinny said that he had a friend in social media that says that if you post a reel a day, within 90 days will have 50,000 followers or something. Not expecting 50,000 followers, I still had that idea of posting consistently in my head. So maybe an hour later, I was just talking shit with Mo, and the idea just popped in my head, 90 beats in 90 days. And I think I said it to him, and then I said, I'm gonna go and do it. And literally that night, went home and then made my first video. This is a little series called A Production a Day for 90 days. Let's see what happens. Doing the challenge was interesting because you have to commit to cutting a slice of time out of your day to make the video. More often than not, you'll notice the background of the video was at my work. I was working at a cafe on Broadway Market, and on my lunch break, which was only 30 minutes long, I would make the beat, do a video and post it on social media. I would have a timer going on my phone just so I could track my time. I'd make the tune for maybe like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, send the audio to my phone, go outside, cut a lap around the block, do the selfie video and then post it on social media. Doing this 100-day music challenge allowed me to commit to working on my craft every single day. And that's important for me. It just gave me the structure to consistently post content that I was into and would back myself. There's a few things I learned from doing this challenge which I'll share with you. The first thing is to keep the message simple. I guess the message of this 100-day beat challenge was to share with you that I'm a music producer and that I do this every day. I think that worked because people now know me as a music producer, so that was a pretty clean-cut, simple message. I think the other message that sort of came with it was the idea of committing to the thing that you want to do and that you love doing. And eventually I became a lot more obsessed with making music. It became a part of this daily routine and I looked forward to the time that I got to do it. I guess another obvious takeaway is that my profile was boosted. That was sort of one of the key goals for me, was to try and get my name out there a bit more, and it definitely worked. In the last 30 days of the challenge, 151,000 people had seen my content. So that's an obvious sign that it was working. And I think that if I had kept going past 100 days, that number would have just gone up. So again, it's backing that point that consistent posting is definitely key. Secondly, I noticed that my production skills got a lot better quite quickly. Just the consistency of doing the task every day allowed things to become a lot more automatic. If I had an idea in my head, within 10 or 20 minutes, I could have that down on my Ableton project. And that felt really good. I guess this whole challenge changed the way I thought about social media. Again, initially I was quite resistant to being on it because I fear that social media can change you. Trends are pretty powerful, and I feel like that can start to bend and shape people to just make content to fit into the trend. And I'm big on being authentic. I want to try and be my most true self. So I think being authentic really fits into this whole thing. If you want to be on social media and you want to be authentic, I think you just got to keep that in mind so that you can create stuff that keeps you you. Would I do it again? Hell yeah. It was actually really fun, and there's literally no downside to it in my mind. It was just good. One of the big questions for me was, how do you use social media without feeling fake or making it feel forced? I've already mentioned it in this video, but staying true to your artistic vision is probably the most important thing. I think if you're speaking about things that you truly believe in, then it's not going to change who you are or the way you speak. If you're looking for inspiration or ideas on social media, just make sure that those people are putting out their artistic vision. It's too easy to try and find what's trendy and just go with that. You'll just be in the wash of the mainstream, so it's very hard to notice something that's not different. I believe that if you know what you're shooting for and you're going after your own thing, then you're never going to have to actually chase anything. You're just making new stuff as you go along. Creating content that aligns with who you are is actually pretty simple. Just ask yourself, what are you into, and then go for that. You'll know when your content feels natural because you'll just know that it's exactly aligned with the vision that you had in your mind in the first place. If it doesn't feel right, just don't post it. Get it right, and then you'll have that confidence to just put it out there into the world. At points, this whole thing can feel draining. I guess it's worth just reminding yourself what you have set out to do in the first place. If you can't give it your best energy, then maybe just leave it for now. You can try a little bit later or the next day, something like this. I have mentioned numbers in this video a few times, but I think it's worth saying that it isn't necessarily a numbers game. You're trying to put out a message or you're trying to share your art. I think that's the most important thing. I think the more people that see it, and as that builds over time, is just a bonus on the side. You shouldn't chase necessarily after the number. There is some insights there. You know what content might be working, what times to post might be working, that kind of thing. So you can refine your strategy in a way, so long as I think that doesn't corrupt the type of content that you want to put out. Again, so long as that is authentic, natural, exactly what you want to say, that's the most important thing. If you think that social media is a burden, then I would encourage you to try and change your mindset on this. I think it's actually a fantastic tool to promote your stuff. It's an easy way for people to see your art, your creations, to promote who you are as a person. And, that's free. You don't have to do anything apart from put the time in to do it. And I think putting the time into doing it is just giving yourself the best chance of success. Again, it's a self-promotion tool. So if you approach it in the right way that allows you to be your authentic self, then it's a great opportunity to get your name out there so long as you sort of commit to doing it. I'll share this with you as it's an interesting piece of advice I was given from a booking agent whose word I really trust. He said that potentially 60% of what's important with an artist is social media. So that sort of backs up the idea of paying attention to it. If you want to do this, then I think you have to take part in the game. But finding the right way to take part in the game is key. Don't overthink it. I think keeping things nice and simple is going to give you the best results and allows you to be authentic. Keep it raw and keep it real. Just be yourself. It might be a bit awkward to begin with, but you will find that the more you do it, the better and more easily it'll just come forward. If you want to be just like everyone else, then I don't think that's being your authentic self. You're just becoming some NPC, whatever. You're just a part of that machine. And I think if you are an artist, then true authenticity is what you need to show, and that's what the world needs from you, is to just you to be yourself. I would encourage anyone to use social media in a strategy that sticks to your artistic vision. When I say strategy, I think it's just something simple. Initially, I was quite confused by what a strategy might be, but then taking it to something as simple as posting a new beat every day made it simple. That was the message. Finding your message is pretty easy as well. It's just asking yourself, what do you believe in? And sharing that. You can find a way so that it doesn't dominate your day in terms of time, but you get a lot out of it in terms of, people seeing your stuff and like a good reaction from your audience. And that's awesome. As I said before, this thing can be pretty awkward at times. I don't really like filming myself, and I get kind of weirded out when I see myself on the screen, but it is something that you will just sort of get used to. Again, the first few times it's going to be really weird. It's going to be really awkward. You might actually stop doing it at that moment because you're like, this is just too fucking strange. Like, I'm going to turn the camera off or some shit. Keep going. Just keep backing yourself in. Take a deep breath. Go again until you get it right. It's worth it. I would say that not to lose sight of your vision. If your social media campaign starts to work quite well for you, then you might get sucked into that whole thing because, it's a bit of a rush when you see that thousands of people are seeing your thing. Don't let it change who you are, and don't let it change anything about you. You're using it as a tool. Don't let it consume you and, you become in service to it. It's there to service us, and it's there for us to control. So don't let it take over you, just be yourself.